There's a lot of examples online of what ChatGPT can do, and a lot of it that we've seen is really impressive. There's writing of all people are writing all different types of text and generating all types of content. But in addition, they're also doing things like generating outlines, like you mentioned, doing research, answering complex questions, surfacing information. And while it's not always all accurate today, some of it's been really, really impressive, in my opinion, of what it's been able to produce. And this has led to some serious online conversation asking the following question: will ChatGPT or something like it replace Google search? Because today, you're not getting accurate information with citations, but you look at what this tool can do and you can start imagining a future where instead of me going and hunting down information via search engine, why can't ChatGPT or something similar serve me up the answer to my question immediately? And if I wanted to, give me citations, links to go verify the information's correct. I mean, you really could imagine a potential future that comes to pass where you're using a ChatGPT like interface to do everything you would for a search engine. And in my mind, gaming that out, it seems like the implications to search would be pretty immense. Like, if that feature came to pass, you wouldn't really be spending a bunch of time clicking through to content on websites. You wouldn't have that much reason to, say, go to a blog, go consume a piece of content designed to attract you via search. It would have a huge impact on content marketing and SEO. I mean, organic traffic to your website based on keywords, backlinks, that would no longer be nearly as relevant in a world where this stuff was integrated into a search product or replaced one. So I kind of wanted to get your take given some of the chatter I've seen in the space. I mean, do you think that's a possibility? What do you think the odds are that a chat GPT or something like it replaces or fundamentally changes search?
I mean, I don't see how it doesn't have an effect on the future of search, but I think we touched a little bit on this concept when, episode or two ago when we first talked about Chat GPT. I wouldn't bet against Google. It was like my main feeling right now. I don't know. Like, I mean, I've talked to some people and tried to gather some opinions. I followed like Margaret Mitchell was, had a good thread on it. Saw another one this morning related to, how it's unrealistic that search moves to this beyond the reasons Margaret gives, which we can touch on, is the energy consumption and the cost.
Mm.
Like, so the cost, I don't know if they've publicly shared yet. I've only seen like guesses, and Sam Altman himself said it was, I think, close to like under 10 cents, but per output. But still a significant cost for each query you put in or each prompt you give ChatGPT. It costs a lot of money, relatively speaking, to generate those responses.
Yep.
I've seen some estimates that it's like $3 million a day that OpenAI is burning on these, free searches, basically, or free prompts. So because the way the model works at the moment, it seems very cost prohibitive that something like ChatGPT would just all of a sudden replace search. And then the points Margaret makes around page rank. So hers is specifically around, the history of search used to just be, and history search like the late 90s, when Google was formed,
Mhm.
that it was just like, I search for these words. This page appears to have those words in the closest sequence or order. So it seems like it's a match to what I was searching. And then Larry and Sergey come along and they basically build Google. And we tell this story actually in our book, based on citations being the key thing. And so if all of these pages link to that page, and that page probably has more authority. And so her point was like, it's really hard to replicate that value proposition of citations and page rank. At
Right.
least that was I read her thread 3 times and I still wasn't 100% sure what exactly the argument was. So I'm like, I probably should put that in context. But it
That,
seemed like that was the argument she was primarily making, is that PageRank and citation still matters for you to trust the result. And ChatGPT doesn't have that. There
yeah.
is no citation. There is no verification of fact through any transparent means. It's just a prediction of what the words in paragraph or sentence should be based on its learning data, which we don't know. So
Yeah.
I think there's technical obstacles. I think there's energy and cost obstacles. And I think there's an obstacle of Google isn't stupid and they likely have more powerful technology sitting in their research labs or maybe sitting in within Google search already. Like we just don't even see it. But I just can't fathom that Google doesn't have an action plan right now.
Yeah, you would have to think, and what you were referencing, a thread from AI researcher Margaret Mitchell, who is breaking down kind of why today ChatGPT can't really replace Google search. And yeah, to your point, I mean, I think there's a lot to unpack with what she said. From my understanding, she basically is saying that ChatGPT is in a stage that's similar to the early days of web search. Yes, it can give a lot of information. No, there is not a great match between what you want and useful or reliable results. Now, she thinks eventually we will get there, but it's going to take a fundamentally different approach to how ChatGPT or something like it is trained. So, presumably, either something like that or incorporating that idea into potentially search is what Google is working on. But it would be interesting to see. They can't have gotten, I would imagine, caught blindsided
Yeah.
by this.
Well, and we've talked about this before, but I also go back to just like, so ChatGPT learns from the corpus of knowledge on the internet. Corpus of knowledge on the internet was created in large part because there's incentives for individual writers and publishers and brands to create content that people find organically to arrive at their site, try to generate site traffic. So if Google doesn't exist, search doesn't exist in its current form, the motivation to create content that drives people to click on a link to land on your website is almost gone, which then removes the training data that enables ChatGPT to exist. So like ChatGPT exists because the internet exists in the form it does because search exists in the form it has for the last 2 decades. So I think I just can't wrap my brain yet around all the dominoes here
Right.
that there's just, but at the same time, I also can't look at what we now know over the last few weeks and say the future looks anything like the past. I just don't know what it looks like.
Yeah. I think that's the wisest take here, right? We always joke that if someone's telling you what it's going to look like 5 years from now, they're making it up
Oh,
because of how
totally.
crazy the industry.
100%. Yeah, and I think that's the real key for people. And again, if you're early in your career and you haven't learned this yet, nobody knows anything. Like the people who are the experts, they have more experience and knowledge. But like even look at AI in this space. Like we've been studying it for 10 years. Looked at, probably over 1,000 vendors. We've talked with entrepreneurs, researchers, people within the research labs. Like about as much knowledge as I could imagine having gained over the last 10 years. And yet there are many times where I still I have no idea. Like I can maybe make a better educated guess than most marketers at what's going to happen, but that's all it is. And I take some solace in like, if you go back and look at major predictions around AI over the last, I mean, you can go back 70 years, but take the last 10 in particular, some of the brightest minds in AI today, like the absolute leaders in the space have been wrong over and over and over again around when they thought major AI milestones would happen.
Yep.
They've overestimated, they've underestimated. So that's why I say like nobody actually knows what's going to happen. I just think some people have more insights based on how close they are in proximity to what's being created. But even then, they're just trying to project out what could happen as a result of this innovation. But it's a great time to be trying to figure it out because we just need more people thinking about it related to their own specific knowledge set and domain.
Yep.
Because that's where the opportunities lies to figure out what it means to you and to your company.
Absolutely.